In this video, I'm going to be sharing the exact visualization technique that I used to manifest my husband just 4 months after I decided I was ready to get married. And I promise you, it's very simple and you can start applying it today if you wanted to. Hi, my name is Amanda Abella. Welcome to this channel where we talk about how to manifest what you desire in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. Lately, we're talking a lot about relationships, manifesting provider husbands, polarity in relationships. It's what you guys have been requesting more than anything, and that's what most of the content's been about. If you like this video, then go ahead and give it a like and share it with one of your girlfriends, because Lord knows we need to get this in front of as many women as possible. There have been some wild stories coming in the comment section and also in my inbox, and also over the last 15 years of coaching women in their businesses and their lives, and we got to do a 180 in the relationship department, ladies. So help a sister out. Save a sister by liking this video and sending it to her. And for those of you who've been asking whether or not I do one-on-one sessions, the answer is yes. I have opened up my calendar to do that. I do not know how long I'm going to have these available, because this is a gig I do for fun at this point, and because a lot of you guys have been asking about it. And also, this is probably going to go the way of our other businesses and brands and channels, where it's going to grow, and eventually I'm not going to be able to do any one-on-one sessions. So I can't promise you how long I'm going to have it available. All of that to say, if you want to grab a one-on-one session with me, the time is now, and you can find the link to that below. All right, let's get into the exact visualization technique I used to manifest my husband just 4 months after I decided that I was ready to get married, and not just manifest a husband, because anybody can do that, but manifest a provider husband, which is what most of you on this YouTube channel are interested in. So this came up because I was recently doing one of those one-on-one sessions, and this person was very well versed in doing meditations and visualizations for their career and for money, and it worked out really well. But they were having a little bit of trouble tapping in when it came to visualizing that provider husband. So that's how this came to be in terms of a video. So if you're watching, this is for you, and also for you, other women who are watching this and perhaps wondering the same thing, because sometimes what happens, especially if you are a woman who's very career driven, very successful, or you're in a career that has required a lot of analytics, to put it that way. I'm talking about like the lawyers, the engineers, the nurses, the doctors. You've been trained to use your brain in a certain way because you need to for your job. The issue is that when it comes to relationships, we're in a totally different realm in terms of skill set and also manifestation, because one of the keys to manifesting isn't just, oh, let me think about this thing. It's really getting in the feeling of what it is that you are trying to create. And I can tell you from personal experience, that's how I manifested my husband. It wasn't just like the logical part of it, which I'm going to talk about in a second. It was also, how do I tap into these feelings? Because the feeling, that's what's really magnetic at the end of the day when it comes to manifesting. And a lot of women who watch this channel have a hard time tapping into that when it comes to relationships, but a really easy time tapping into it when it comes to money. So the first thing that I'm going to say is that money and relationships are actually quite similar. I'll be doing other videos on money and prosperity and those kinds of things. If you're interested, just let me know in the comments. I know a couple of you have already mentioned that. They're coming. So money and men are not that dissimilar in a lot of ways. Before running a business with my husband on our other YouTube channel, Entrepreneur Expat, before doing this, I spent 8 years as a financial expert and educator, mostly talking to women. And then I spent another 8 years teaching marketing and sales. And I had to learn how to attract money and opportunity, and how to earn money, and how to bring it into my life. Well, when it came time to manifesting my husband, I was in a career transition. I didn't want to do what I had been doing before by the time I met him. And there's a whole other story that goes with that about how my whole life did a 180 and everything changed But when I met my husband, I was already in the process of letting go of those careers, right? But what I did bring with me was this skill of the manifestation. So what I realized is that men and money are not that dissimilar. In fact, women who were not good at money, I noticed got into the more controlling relationships. Women who did not know how to take care of themselves would get more into the controlling type of relationships that were also unhealthy. But then the women who did know how to make money, it would be like this whole other extreme where they would end up with men who were very feminine. And the idea is that you kind of got to get somewhere in the middle where you can take care of yourself so you don't put yourself in desperate situations. And at the same time, you are flexible and adaptable and feminine enough to still attract a healthy masculine man. So it's kind of like the balancing of the energies, right? So in order to make money, you have to balance masculine and feminine energy. You need the masculine structures and you need the feminine creativity. And then when it comes to attracting men, or at least a healthy relationship, it's not that dissimilar. Most women need to figure out sort of what that balance is within them. And if you're watching this channel, you're probably a woman who's more along the lines of those who book sessions with me, which are women who are more high-powered in their careers. So probably what's gone on with you is that you've gone overboard into the masculine part of your masculine part, and you've gone overboard in taking care of yourself. And now we kind of got to balance that out with some more feminine energy. But all of that to say, if you can manifest money, you can manifest a man, right? If you can manifest provision in the form of money for yourself, you can manifest a man who will also provide provision. They are not that different. So let's get into how to actually create this visualization. So again, if you're watching this channel, you're probably not new to visualization or anything like that. You've probably used it in other parts of your life, but for some reason, this is the part that gets a little sticky and tricky. The reason why it gets sticky and tricky is because when it comes to attracting a relationship as a feminine woman, it requires you to get more into your body and more into your feelings. And if you've been spending, 10, 15, 20, 30 years living in your head, then it can be a little difficult. But we're going to start with the head, okay? We're going to start with the head, and then we're going to move our way into the actual feelings. So what I did with this particular client who asked for this is I got really clear on what she did not want. She was in a position where she knew exactly what she did not want in relationships. She knew exactly what not to experience. In her case, she had been in a relationship where she was feeling like she wasn't taken care of. And like the man was not generous, and like she had to solve all the problems, and she was really feeling very overburdened, I would say. A lot of weight on her shoulders. So she was very clear on, what she did not want. So I was like, all right, just flip it. What do you want? It's just the opposite of what she would tell me. So in this case, what she did want, she goes, okay, well, here's what I'm seeing, right? I want a man who is going to plan a trip for us and my children. And, he's going to take care of all the details and I don't have to worry about it. And he's very generous with his provision. He's not expecting me, just because I'm a high-powered professional woman, to go handle a bunch of problems or pay half the bills. So we created this whole scene around that. And then that's a scene she can get into, right? That's something that she can feel into and tap into because it's actually important to her. It actually means something to her. And because she knows what the opposite feeling already feels like, then she can flip it, right? She can flip it into the more positive feeling. When I was doing this for myself, I got very clear on the kind of man that I wanted. I did do the list, right? And the list is based on characteristics of a man, not just their looks, but the character of a man. That's more important than anything. And in my case, I had this dream of living in other countries and being with my beloved and traveling all over the world, and him being ambitious and all that kind of stuff. So I have these like whole scenes that I would play out in my head while during my meditation time, as I'm falling asleep, my visualization time, where, we would be traveling in all these different countries. So maybe I see the Eiffel Tower behind us, or I don't know, it was a bunch of different countries depending on what I was doing. But that was something I could get into because those are things that actually meant something to me. So for those of you who are feeling stuck in this area, number one, get clear on what you don't want, right? Because chances are you already know what you don't want and you already know how crappy that feels. And then create a movie or a scene that is this is the polar opposite of what it is that you do not want to experience. And boom, you've got your script. You've got your mental movie that you can start tapping into, and it's going to be a lot easier to feel into it because you already know what the opposite of what you're trying to manifest feels like. And again, it's going to actually mean something to you. Sometimes I think what happens in the visualization and manifestation spaces, and I've experienced this with money as I go through career changes, it's no different. In relationships, it's like, if it doesn't actually mean something to you, it's going to be very difficult to tap into the feelings of it. So for me, when it comes to money, when I was thinking about, okay, I don't want to do that career anymore, I'm moving in a different direction, I didn't know what direction I was moving into. So it was difficult for me to tap in terms of like, oh, this is why I want money, or this is the kind of career that I want. It was really hard. Until recently when I was going through that career transition, and, thank God for my husband who is a provider man, and he gave me that space to try and figure it out for myself because he saw me going through that transition. All of that to say, right, that if what you're trying to create in your mind doesn't actually like invoke any feeling or meaning or purpose to you, then it's going to be difficult to tap into the feelings. So, the way that you combat that, right, is by using opposites, right? You know what you don't want to feel, so just flip it to the opposite and create a movie. Second part is you're going to do it every day, of course, right? And it's going to be a practice, first thing in the morning or right before you go to sleep. And if you need to do some clearing exercises, I always recommend this to clients before they go into visualizations, is to kind of clear the energetic bodies first. So that would be just taking any extra energy that you might have, which those of us who are very sensitive, we can tend to carry a lot of extra energy, and we have to regularly clear. And I'm a big fan of clearing before we go into the visualization. So in this case, it would be the 4 bodies, right? So any extra energy, any discomfort that you have in your physical body, just visualize it going down to the earth through an anchor. Any sensations like itching or anything like that, also send it down through an anchor. Any emotions, maybe anxiety, fear, stress, even if you're feeling like overly excited, send that down so we can kind of calm down the body. And then finally, anything mental, like what's your agenda, your to-do list, I gotta go do that with the kids, I gotta go do that, blah, 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 blah. Send that down as well. Clear all of those physical and energetic bodies, and then you're more primed, prepped, and ready for the visualization. It's going to be easier to tap into those states. And then you could also do it right before you fall asleep. I do the exact same thing right before falling asleep, depending on what it is that I'm trying to create in my life at that moment. So hope you guys found this helpful. Make sure to give it a like, save a sister, share it with a friend, so we can start changing this dynamic that we're seeing in relationships in society right now. Those of you who've been asking for one-on-one sessions, if you need help with your own specific script, or if anything else I've talked about on this channel, you can book those below. Once again, I don't know how long I'm going to have these available because I do this part-time on the side when I have time, and eventually I won't even have time to do one-on-one sessions, so I'll have to create courses and things like that. So this is your opportunity to get my time, and you can book that below. And of course, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you on the next one.